back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake, and here are my co-host, Alex.
And today, as you can tell, it's just me and Blake today. We saw this movie together. Blake came down to Texas for the first time, and we decided to go see A Quiet Place Day 1. Currently, it's on its second week. It came out June 27th, so I believe it's second week in theaters, and it's rocking a 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.8 on IMDb, so fairly good score. So Blake, why don't you speak about your thoughts?
One of the main things too is it has over 100 million in box office at the end of its first weekend, which was very big for it, as that is that definitely covers its budget. Obviously, we don't know what marketing is because they never really show you what marketing is, so I'm sure there's always a shit ton of it, so they have to, make up all that stuff. But it's safe to say this movie is going to make money when it's all said and done, as we talked. I mean, it really is pretty good for about a month that it's pretty comfortable of it's going to have a runtime before it really gets like a main competitor. Because, I mean, Despicable Me 4 comes out, but obviously they're not really the same audience, so they really don't have to worry about them. So overall, this movie definitely is going to make money, which is, I get, always a good thing for movies, as we're big movies people, and theaters are booming right now. People are going to the theater. It's already cool to see. Alex, thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, as this is part of a franchise, this is technically the third film, but it is set. It's the very first one, technically speaking. It is the prequel. It is set, as the title says, day one. So we actually start at the beginning of the day with our main character, played by Lupita Nyong'o. She is, I believe, a cancer patient. She has cancer. Yes, so you can clearly tell she's never. That's the one thing that had me kind of like, is she not? Because they never actually said it outright. We just kind of had to infer by the little patches that she puts on her side here of her stomach, I guess. And she's pretty much living out the rest of her days, and of course, she just wants pizza. That is a big point in the film, is the pizza character. That she doesn't really get to have the exact one she wants, but she still has one regardless. But it all starts with them going into the city, because I guess the I don't know, is it technically like a nursing home area?
Hospice.
Yeah, a hospice. Yeah, it's not right in the city. It's kind of like on the outskirts. So they actually take a bus into the city. They watch a play, and then of course, the aliens arrive and fuck shit up. I thought it was a very good reintroduction / perspective, because you haven't seen the second one, so we kind of get to see that, but from like a different point of view in a different state. This was, I believe, this was in New York, and the other one was in a different state. I can't remember now, or it may have been, and I just can't quite remember. But I just have like this like memory of it happening when they were playing baseball. So I feel like it wasn't in a city setting, but nonetheless, using the city of New York being one of the loudest fucking places you can possibly be at was a really good choice. I'll just say that, because obviously it starts off with it saying this fact about how loud that on average New York itself is. I think it's like 60 decibels, and
that was pretty cool to open it.
Yeah, and then of course you hear the city before they arrive, and then once they arrive and after they fuck some shit up, it's just quiet. It's silent, and I thought it was a good stylistic choice to have the film set in a city, particularly when you have to be quiet to survive.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a really dope opening, giving that stat and then having all that noise show in, start to come in of the different noises that you hear in New York. I thought that was, like you said, that was a really cool way to start this movie. And then it was also something about It said like that's about the like average of a scream, like the average decimals of like a scream or something like that.
Yeah,
So that was pretty funny. That was pretty interesting.
yeah, yeah. And then you know, it's a quiet place film, so at a certain point everything just becomes quiet and you kind of just see the actors really have to like portray their emotions through hand movement, through their face, because they can't really speak that loud, so they're always at like at a whisper, or sometimes even less. So I feel like Lupita definitely killed it, because there were certain times where her face emotions definitely invoked fucking fear. Um, but as for the other character played by Joseph Quinn, I thought he was fine. I don't know. I felt like it was kind of a mistake to introduce him sort of late into the film. I thought he was going to be in the movie from the start, or like towards the beginning of the film, but it felt like he was almost kind of like shoehorned in there, just because the like the main guy that she was with, he died like pretty much almost immediately, like once they got shelter, and he got his shirt stuck. I think his name is Alex Wolff, is the actor's name.
Yeah.
But he died immediately. So then they kind of had to like shoehorn in or Joseph Quinn's character Eric into the story to kind of balance it out there. But overall, I thought it was fine. I liked that. I ultimately what they decided to do with both of their characters. Obviously, like I said, she has cancer, so she ultimately decided to sacrifice herself so that he can get to the boat to safety, because apparently or I remember now that the aliens could not swim, or they couldn't go into the water. But yeah, I thought it was cool. Of the three movies, because I've seen all of them, I probably still have this at either 2 or 3. I can't quite decide. I definitely like A Quiet Place 2 with Cillian Murphy, definitely the most. So that's just
Yeah.
kind
Also,
of my
shout out the
overall
cat.
thoughts.
You forgot. That's a major
But
factor of this. The cat was just doing his own thing, just vibing, causing a little bit
yeah,
of chaos.
you could say that there was definitely certain times where I was just like, bro, just get rid of the cat, man. You're
Uh,
like you're gonna end up dying because of this thing. Both Joseph Quinn's character and Lupita Nyong'o's character, they were like, bro, just let it
Let the
go.
cat vibe. Let the cat vibe. Cat was just doing cat things, hanging out,
And the
exploring a
cat
little.
was indeed vibing. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you about Joseph Quinn's character. Eric was just so whatever. Definitely felt like they just need to shove somebody else in there because they're like, we don't want this to be a solo person movie, so just give somebody to act. Throw in somebody else, cool. Nah, there's another character, great. So I thought he was extremely forgettable. Um, Overall, I mean, like you said, I thought the intro was, or not the intro, but when that aliens actually came, when that part happened, I thought that was cool, showing them all showing up and stuff. But for me, I don't know if I'm just not a fan of these Quiet Place movies or just whatever. I thought this movie was just so forgettable. I thought it was extremely lazy the entire time. It was literally 5 minutes of just dead silence. And I was like, oh, something made a noise, and then a minute of like, oh, there's an alien, get away. And then they get away, and then it was like, oh, 5 minutes of dead silence, and then it was just repeat for like an hour and a half. I was just like, this is so lazy. Like, cool, we get it. I don't know. I feel like for a suspense part, like, it's not hard to make a movie feel somewhat suspenseful if you make an entire theater go dead silent and then just crank up the audio for something to happen. It's like that's not impressive at all. Like, you're not really making this suspenseful. You're just ear raping people. Like, cool. I really thought, like I said, her having cancer was just another thing, and them being super lazy. It's like, oh, we want people to have sympathy for this character. What should we do? Oh, she has cancer. Because obviously you have to be a dick if you don't feel bad for somebody. Like, everybody for the most part has had some way in their life has been affected by cancer of somebody they know or loved one or something. So it's like, again, that was just the laziest writing of all time to be like, we want people to somewhat feel for this character. Yeah, give her cancer because you're going to feel bad for somebody with cancer, obviously. So it was like, all you did was you went silent for 5 minutes and then just cranked up the audio, and you did that for about an hour and a half. So I was like, I was kind of over that. There's even scenes that it legit was just to be like a jump scare. Like when she's looking at the window, they finally get back to like her old place. And then she's like looking out the window, and then she has like a quick little nightmare of like an alien as she's looking out the window. I was like, that was literally just meant to be a jump scare.
Yeah.
It was literally just like the alien super loud and there's nothing there. And I was just like, okay. And then even when they introduced Eric's character of it being like silent and then him like coming out of the water super loud, I was like, we're literally just trying to make jump scares to make this like, so you're on the edge of your seat. And I was like, this is just lazy. They took the simplest way to get sympathy for you of somebody having cancer, and then to make it suspenseful, they're like, yep, make it dead silent and ear rape them. I was like, this is just lazy writing. And I feel like that was reflected in our movie as 2 people left the theater and another person fell asleep in the theater. So I was like, okay, well, I feel somewhat valid that there's other people here that feel the same way as me, as this movie is extremely forgettable. Like I said, is it just a Quiet Place thing that I don't like those, as like I've only seen the first one and it was a while ago and I thought it was okay? Or maybe it was actually lazy writing and directing. But yeah, I thought this movie was nothing I will ever even attempt to go back and rewatch, because it literally 30 minutes in, I was like, okay, so we're just going to keep doing the same thing for the next 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minute, 1 minute, wrap the movie up. So for me, this movie was like a 4.2. It was super, super forgettable. We'll never recommend it to anybody. We'll never revisit it. Just kind of thought it was lazy.
Fair. For me, I thought it was, in terms of putting it up against the other 2, it's probably towards the bottom, to be honest with you. I'd probably give it like just because I enjoyed her character and her portrayal, I'd probably give it like a 6. Pretty mid if we're being blunt here. But I feel like the reason why I enjoyed part 2 the most is because you do get more than just dead silent, super loud ear rape, dead silence, super loud ear rape. I mean, there definitely is some of that in there, but there is points where they're in a safe area, so they're talking, and obviously you incorporate Cillian Murphy into a movie, it's bound to be at least like
Guy
decent.
says that hasn't even seen Oppenheimer. You don't get to say that. You don't even watch his movies.
What do you mean?
Bandwagon.
Dark Knight Rises.
Those don't count. Those aren't
Those
Cillian
count.
Murphy movies. No,
He is in the movie, is he not?
doesn't count. That doesn't count as his movie though.
It's okay.
We're talking about
like
his
his
movies.
portrayal.
Movies he leads.
Okay. Whatever. He's technically a lead in part 2, so yeah.
Yeah, that's the
What
only
do you
one.
say?
Oppenheimer. 20 weeks later.
You kept count?
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's another movie.
Keep that count rolling.
The one with Justin Timberlake. Out of Time.
I have seen that. The one where like the time's on the wrist. Yeah, I've seen that one.
That's how forgettable this movie is. We're already talking about other things with Cillian Murphy. Yeah, no, like I said, pretty forgettable. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, it was a prequel, so I didn't think that they were gonna really do anything new. It kind of met expectations in that aspect, where I wasn't really thinking they were gonna do anything special. I was hoping they would, but they did not. And then it didn't help that some other director did it, so it wasn't even Krasinski who did it. So, it is what it is.
Good for him. Krasinski probably got the bag to sell the rights, and it's doing good in the box office. So
It is.
it's good for movie theaters, but this movie should not be making money because it was extremely lazy. So that's going to be it for our Quiet Place Day 1 review. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.